So, fun employment, let's talk about it. There are a couple of things that I wish I did and didn't do in this process. For context, last year, June or July, I had left my corporate job in fintech and I took a sabbatical year to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with the next steps, take some time to recuperate and to figure out what I was gonna do with the future, and also to just spend time with family, to try my hand in content creation. I think there are like two types of archetypes that I've seen done this. One is someone who does continue on with the full-time job, though it is very stressful. 5 to 9 is all working on your project, your side business, whatever, so that you become full-time employed with your side business. Number 2 is someone who quit their job, is dedicating all their efforts into their project or their business. I was the one who did number 2, which was leave the role to try my hand at something new. But in between, I was also focusing a lot of time with friends, family, and just taking care of like my mental and physical health. The reason why I was able to do this is because I had saved significantly before this. I knew this was coming. I had started thinking about it almost like a year in advance. These are the things that I would recommend you to do in the future if you are thinking of fun employment. Number 1, it's figuring out your finances. That means thinking long-term, what you will need for a year or like a year and a half. I feel like 6 months just doesn't cut it anymore, especially if you're living in a high cost of living city such as San Francisco or New York. I think being able to fully prepare for the future is only going to be to your advantage. And I think nowadays, especially given how terrible the job market is, you might want to start thinking maybe at least a year of cost of living savings in case something happens. I would also highly recommend trying to see if there's anything that you can do on the side, such as like credentials or honing your skills, or just something to keep you sharp when you decide to go back into the job market again. I think one thing that I wish I had done for finances is perhaps live in somewhere that was a little bit more cheaper. I hear this a lot, which is a lot of people are like, I hate my job, I want to quit, I just like want to get rid of everything and just stop whatever I'm doing. And I definitely feel you on that because I've gone through that. Depending on how bad it is, it's more so of like, if you were to quit your job today, could you pay your bills for the next 6 months to a year? I think working at a terrible job is bearable when you have a goal in mind or a number in place. So if you are really in a toxic job, I would also just say like, maybe you don't need to give 200% at this terrible job. Maybe you can just do the minimum while looking for another role and see how that turns out. Who has not had a job that they hated, right? And it was bad for their mental health. I think that's why you should just start preparing and start thinking of the future. And also, it just makes sense to always keep applying to other jobs to keep your resume fresh and that your brain is ready for interviews and such. Number 3, I think know that there are sacrifices that you're gonna have to make when you are fun employed. If you don't have any income coming in and you're just living off on your savings, then sometimes it just doesn't make sense to be booking a one-way flight to places. I mean, sometimes it's just better to be more frugal during your unemployment journey. I think it just makes sense to eat in more, to perhaps not buy as many things. I think honestly, the biggest cost will always be rent. And so depending where you're living and how much your rent is, that is something that you could skimp on. But I think it's also just understanding that you might just need a pivot. There are some times where maybe you just don't want to be in this career anymore, that you just want to pivot. As for me, my entire fun employment journey has been pretty up and down, I would say. I will say though, I have been working on my Asian Wonder Woman Travel Summit, which is bringing in revenue. We are charging for tickets and we are actually getting sponsorships for the Travel Summit. It's happening in Taiwan in March, so I'm kind of been focusing on that, working on that. And then I am also going to go back into the full-time workforce. It is interesting because I know at one point I was like, maybe I do want to be a content creator full-time, but a part of me is also like, I think it would have been a lot easier if I still had my full-time job and then just grinded while doing it. Being a content creator. I wouldn't say it's like one of the things that I regret, but in hindsight, maybe I could have just stuck it out. But also I had a really great past year of family and friends and just enjoying like the last of my 20s. Like I don't really regret it at all. I will say though, there are times where I have been super stressed. So just know that there are times where you will be stressed about the fun employment part because you don't really know what's next. And I also think there were times where I'm like, days go on and on and on, and you're kind of like, I don't remember what day it is. because you're not tracking it anymore based on like the weekend. You're kind of just going through the motion like over and over again. And what I realized though is that I really do like creating content. I like being creative and I like editing and working with my hands. And so having that time and flexibility to work on things just made me feel a lot better. And it's kind of crazy because I think when I was young, I was like, wow, I'm gonna work at the same job for like 45 years. And it's just gonna be on and on. But I think nowadays, like people job hop so much. People are changing careers. People are kind of more vested in their personal projects and like just being part of the digital age where anyone can be and own a media platform. So it just goes to say that I think as the world evolves, you should also evolve as well. And with all the tech layoffs, so many people have been laid off. Like everyone used to be proud to say, oh, I work at Google, oh, I work at Meta, oh, I work at Netflix. Like these corporations don't owe you anything. They'll let go a couple thousand each every month. So a job is just a job in the end, unless you are building something of your own and you are working on yourself. So just keep that in mind because that's just how the world operates, and that's what I personally realized. And so I think for the next year, this year specifically, I am going to continue growing and scaling my content platforms and my presence with YouTube. But the year of unemployment was really interesting. I feel like I self-discovered a lot. I did get to work with a couple of brand partnerships for my content. I got to learn how to do event marketing, how to build up a travel summit from scratch, how to get sponsors. We got a sponsor from the Taiwan government, and to basically market to a community and get members to sign up and actually pay for registration. So I wouldn't say my year of unemployment had gone to vain. I would say it wasn't easy, but I will say that I have learned a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.